one of us has a song within us, and that song is some kind of a longing within. It wants to be sung. The basic song that all of us have within is a song of peace, of respect and kindness, and most of all, love. It has to be love, because that's really all there is. And so that is what we are made of, is love. That's our song. Alan Cohen, in one of his books, and I'm not sure which one, but he talks about an African tribe who intuitively know that we all have a song within. So when a woman becomes pregnant in that tribe, she goes off into the wilderness with a few friends, and they pray. They sit in the quiet until they intuitively know the song of that unborn child. Then they go back to the village and they teach it to the rest of the people. When the child is born, they all gather together and sing the child's song to him or her. Then through all the stages of childhood, all the initiations, that song is sung to the child. When that person gets married, here's the song again. And then at the end of this earthly life, the village gathers around the bedside of this person, and they sing the song. They actually sing the person into the next dimension of life. What a beautiful thing that is. And then there's one other time when the song is sung to a person. If that person would commit some kind of a crime or something against the society, they put that person in the middle of a circle, and then they all sing that song again. And they feel that punishment is not the way, but to let the person know that this is your identity, this is your song of love. This person needs to hear it, know it, be reminded of it, and that's much more effective than punishment. You and I have friends, a lot of friends. I know that here in this community we make friends, and I have found that some of the friends that are here are really more important to me than family. I don't like to really say that, but I know that sometimes family isn't on my side, and I know that friends are. And so the friends that we make, the people who love us, know our song. Now they might not know the uniqueness of our song, but they know that our song is love. And they know that they can count on us. We know that we can count on them, because sometimes we forget our song. And so sometimes when we're going through painful things, we feel that we don't have a song. And we feel broken and painful and all kinds of emotions that if we could hear that song again, we might remember who we are. So a dear friend would be someone who would sing your song to you and remind you that love is what you are. Alan Cohen, in his book, reminds us all of the song, and he says to keep singing, because that's how you find your way home. And we're all going home. And home doesn't mean the end of your life. Often we say, well, a loved one went home. What does that mean? Well, they went to heaven. But the way he's saying it is that going home is finding yourself. So in unity we say, come home to unity. It's not an egotistical statement. It's not saying that this is the one right place to be. There are many good places to be. But we are saying that this is a place where you can find yourself, because here you are free to explore. You are free to ask questions. In fact, you are encouraged to ask questions. This is a place where you can really go in so many different paths to find what it is that is calling you. That's home. Home is this place where we're also comfortable, but not too comfortable, because we are also to grow in this place. Just stretch a little. home is finding yourself. And so we have a very famous story in the Bible of that. The story of the prodigal son. Classic story that Jesus told. I believe that that might be my favorite story in the New Testament because it contains so many messages. So here we have this prodigal son who's singing a song of self-indulgence. He's apparently totally out of tune with his love song. He's singing a very selfish song. He has his inheritance, and he's going out and he's just spending it all foolishly. He finds himself sitting with the pigs. There's nothing lower for a Jewish boy to be sitting with the pigs, believe me. And also, he is so hungry that he is looking at what the pigs eat, and he's considering that maybe I need to have some of that. That's pretty hungry. You might remember, as I remember, that my grandma had a pail that she kept in her kitchen. Now, of course, this was years ago, before refrigeration and all those things. But in this pail, she would put the potato peelings, lots of potatoes eaten in those days, and she would put all the scraps, clean the plates after the meal, and all that would go in this pail. There would be water, I believe, some kind of liquid in this pail, because otherwise, phew, it would smell. And this was called, remember? Slop. You're right. So my grandma kept this slop pail out by the back entry, and when it was full, she took it out to the pigs. Now, as a kid, I would pass that pail, and ooh, ick. And so I would have to be starving to consider even taking one tiny bite out of that pail. I mean, I think it shows us how desperate this person really was. And not just desperate in a physical hunger, but a spiritual one. And so now it says in the Bible, he came to himself. I think he was sitting there taking inventory. How did I get in this place? This is a horrible place to be. How did I get here? What kind of thinking brought me to this place? I don't want to be here. I want to go home. I want to go back to my Father's house. And so he stands up and he starts walking. And then comes the fear. The fear in words that and thoughts that he has. Well, what if I am rejected? What if my Father doesn't want me anymore? What if he is so upset with me that he says, just go away. I never want to see you again. But the point, the lesson here for all of us is, he didn't stop. He kept walking. He walked through that fear. And then the Father represents the God in us. And the Father sees him coming, and he runs to greet him. He hugs him, kisses him. I'm so glad you're home. You see that power within, that God never rejects us. It only accepts us. It's such a wonderful feeling to know we truly can come home. And then not only does the Father accept him, but gives him gifts. He gives him sandals for his feet and a robe to wear and a ring. These are spiritual gifts. What do they mean to us? Sandals for his feet, which would be protection as we walk this path of life. When we are with Spirit, we are taken over those rough places in life so that we can keep our balance. Then there's the rope. You know, on a trip once, and you know, I wish I could remember where this was, I can't, but anyway, we went into this museum type of store, and we could have our picture taken with the Queen's robe. well, guess who was the first one in line? I'm going to have my picture taken as the queen. And there was a little crown we could put on our heads. Well, of course, that had to be there too. But you know that the moment they put that heavy velvet ermine robe on me, I felt different. Somehow, it felt as if I was royalty. I sat up straighter. I put a nice smile on my face. Take my picture. And that's what the robe means. The robe that was given to the prodigal son was a symbol of royalty. It's a symbol of deserving, of raising our thinking to that point where we know we are deserving of the good, where we walk in confidence with our heads held high. But the ring is my favorite thing, because a ring is a promise of love. And a ring, in this case, the spiritual meaning of it, is that there is a promise of unconditional love that is given to us, never taken away from us. Never. It's a circle. A ring is a circle of unending and everlasting love that is ours for the taking. But a ring is also a sign of authority. Think about that for a moment, that it's royalty, it's authority, it's power, and that's been given to us also. Don't let anyone ever tell you that we came to this earth flawed or full of sin. No, we didn't. We came full of power and full of love. And love is that basic song that we are to be singing in this life. This song that is in every one of us wants expression. I love that word, expression. It wants to press out through us and out into the world. The song that we are to sing is not just for us. This is a gift. And we are to give it to ourselves, but also give it to the world. I love the English language. I asked somebody the other day, someone who was from another country, I asked her if it was difficult. What do you think she said? Yeah, she said, all your words have so many meanings, and what looks like something isn't. Well, it made me think of the word terrified. Because you see, there's something that stops us from singing our song. What is that? It's fear. Fear stops us. All these things, we think we're not good enough, we're not worthy. We think that if we try something, we might fail. Well, we're afraid of that. But do you know that we are just as afraid of success as we are of failure? Because success now, that takes us into another whole arena. Oh, what if I don't know what to do with that? So fear says, I can't do this because I'm so afraid. Fear, what is it? F-E-A-R, what's that? False evidence appearing real. You all know that. You're so good. Yes, it is false evidence appearing real. And Jesus said, don't judge by appearances, but judge righteous judgment. Appearances aren't real, but judge by what is real. Judge by the power that lives within you that is greater than any appearance. That's how we judge. And so then that appearance diminishes because we are judging it by the greatness within. So let's go back to the word terrified. Terrified and terrific are connected because they come from the same root word. There is this flow of energy through us. I think we know that. Some call it the chi. And when we are terrified or in fear, it's like stepping on a garden hose and stopping the flow. And we find that we are in a whole different place, that our breathing is shallow, we have a tightness here. You all know what I'm talking about, don't you? Fear, that's what it does to us. And it's not just fear of something that might appear out there, but it's fear of even a concept, something that we're asked to try, and it's like, oh, I couldn't do that. And we tend to shut down because we're so fearful. But if we take our foot off that pose, and if we open ourselves to this flow again, we find that there's another whole feeling that's coming. It's a feeling of opening ourselves, of opening our heart, and a feeling of enjoy. It's joy. That's terrific. And the same is true with the words awful and awesome. They have a connection. So I read an article about a woman that was telling about her experience in a cave. Now, I'm not talking about a cave like Carlsbad Caverns. You ever been there? Who's been there? Oh, well, okay, let me tell you, what? Oh, no, Carlsbad Caverns? Oh, I think it's in New Mexico. Is it California? Whatever. I'll tell you what, if you're afraid to go in a cave, go in that one because it's so easy. The first thing you do is run into a gift shop. And from there on, I mean, it's all lights and comfort, and that's not going through a cave. So this woman is telling about going through a cave in the Black Hills. And the moment that you inquire about it, they tell you this is not easy. So if you're up to it, fine. But make sure you know. We'll tell you what you're going to get into. There is a short distance where you have to crawl because there's no room to stand up. And then there is a hole that you have to squeeze through before you can stand up. And we measure you just to make sure you can fit in the hole. Because if you can't go. There's no other way. So once you get started on this, no matter what the fear is, you can't turn around. You gotta keep going. And you have to follow the directions of the guides. That's critical. So once you stand up, a rope is put in your hand, and it has great big knots in it. And it's not too long a distance to the cavern floor, but it is a ways. So you go very slowly from one knot to the other. And that's what the woman said she did with other people. She said, I was terrified. This was the most awful experience of my life. So we get down to the cavern floor. Now all of us are there, and all of this, she said, pretty much in the dark. Only a flashlight or two from the guide. You could barely see the person in front of you. Well, now we're all standing on the floor, and they turn on all the lights. And she said, all of a sudden, it took our breath away. Because all these let me say this right, stalactites and stalagmites, she said, they're like shimmering curtains. And the ceiling and the walls are all crystal. And so they are sparkling like 1,000,000,000,000 diamonds. She said, I couldn't believe it. It was the most awesome experience, the most terrific experience I've ever had. So now, she said, they lead us out of the cave. We're standing there on the grass. She said, I was higher than a kite. Can you imagine? And she said, here's what I realized. That because I did this, I pierced through the membrane of fear. And I found that it was all in my mind. It was all in my mind. It wasn't even real. Someone has said that fear is the boundary. It is the border of the reality that we know. Think about that for a moment. It is It is the border of the reality that we live in. But life is always inviting us to go past that border. Inviting us to come into uncharted territory that we've never been in, to be explorers, and to learn how to sing a new song. Isn't that true? Yeah, so feel the fear and do it anyway. Like the prodigal son, just keep on walking. Because life has so much to show you. In the Gospel of Thomas, it says, if you do not let out what is within you, it will kill you. It doesn't mean it's going to strike you dead. It's going to kill your spirit. Have you ever seen anyone whose spirit was dying? Yeah. Someone who wasn't able to sing their song for some reason or other. Or maybe someone just being in a job they absolutely hate. What happens to your spirit? It slowly dies. My dearest friend, she's not here any longer, but when I first met her years and years ago in nurses training, she was so happy. She was singing her song. And then someone came into her life after that, and they put limitations on her, and she thought that she couldn't sing her song anymore. She couldn't do what she wanted to do. And she allowed that to happen. And I watched her spirit gradually die. And that killed her. She did not die a happy person. She died so sad. And it's so sad for me to think that she allowed herself to be put in that position and did not sing her song. That she could not stand up and say, I am here to do something in this world and I have to do it. You know, you can say things like that with force, but you can say them with kindness too. I have to do this. And so I have to be free to do it. But she couldn't do that. And I wondered, as I've thought about this so many times since she has passed, maybe she didn't know where her song came from. Maybe she didn't realize. You see, sometimes we don't realize it either. Do you think that we put this song? Did I put this song in me? Did you put the song in you? Did she put that song in her that she longed to sing but couldn't? No. It came from somewhere, from something way beyond her and me and you. Something that we could call truth. It's within. Truth is something that many places will say, hey, we got truth, you come over here because we'll give it to you. That's not truth. Truth is within ourselves. Remember Robert Browning? Takes no rise from outer things. It's that inmost center in us all. And yes, there are things that hem it in, but we don't have to let that happen. Because this truth needs to be out. I think of Jesus when he was in front of Pilate. When he was on trial. And you know what Pilate asked him? What is truth? And Jesus didn't answer. Why? Was it because he didn't know what truth was? Oh no, I think he knew right well what truth was. I think he knew so well what it was that he knew it couldn't be put into words. This something within you, this truth, this song, can we put that into words? No. So when people came to Jesus and asked him, what is this? He gave them a metaphor, a simile. He said it's like a little mustard seed, or it's like a little bit of leaven. Or he told them a story that we call parables, a story within a story. And often looking at that story on the surface, it doesn't make any sense. What was he telling them? He was telling them that you have to find it yourself. It's within you. But you're the one who has to search and seek and ask and find. Unity's co-founder, Charles Fillmore, studied the Bible extensively. He was called a modern mystic. And he said that often people pick up a Bible and they say, here, this is the Word of God. But he said the Word of God is more than that Bible. The Word of God is the Spirit within you and me and everyone. And it cannot be defined. The moment you try to define it, you've lost it. He said the only way that we can ever find truth within is to live it. Just live it. So I'm saying that all of us need to be singing our song. The basic song is love. But on top of that, you might have many songs to sing in this life. I'm just beginning to realize I have more than one. I'm going to sing more. This is really a joy. So let me close with this. The poet laureate of Unity, who has now made his transition, he's not on this earth anymore, James Dillett Freeman, who wrote many books, many poems. Well, one of his books, the title, just the title I love, Angels Sing in Me. And I believe they do. Now, if angels are singing in me, they're singing in you too. That I know. So I say, let's join that angelic chorus and let's all start to sing. Let's sing our love story. Why not?